on the positive direction of our country.
Open Conversation, a robust, interactive, and analytical current affairs program on ELBC Radio, setting out to critically analyze and review trending issues of our time.
The noise is just too much on the air, and we are here to refine and set the agenda on Open Conversation.
Let's start the conversation right now.
From the east to the west, north to the south, let's come together as one. They say you're not there, we stand, divided we fight. If we not celebrate, we do it for it. While you forget it, you from Lova country, you from Maryland, while you from Rewa. I'm about that way, oh, young people, I'm up on the fine way. Nabila, I love Liberia, freeland and liberty, Liberia, I love Liberia, they play for me and you, Liberia.
I was raised in the slum by a chick with my girls. Kept it on the low, but we fought for the bones. True son of the soul, I'm a prince in my own. Never gonna lie, me, I love LIB. Even though it's far, when we show we can face it. It's not a prophecy, I know that we can rise again. Holding my hand, I'm holding your own. United we stand, divided we fall.
And of course, united we stand, divided we fall. I love Liberia. Welcome to it. Today is tonight, okay, wherever you are joining us from, whatever time in the world it is. Today is Tuesday and it's the 4th of July. And welcome to Open Conversation on ELBC Radio and online. Here is where we critically analyze trending issues, set the agenda, and seek your input on the positive direction of our country. So welcome to it. To all of you who are watching us via our social media page, we'd like to say welcome to Open Conversation. Let's take a break and we'll be right back. Stay with us, please.
North to the south, let's come together as one. They say you're not there, we stand, divided we fight. If we not celebrate, we do it for it. While you forget it, you from Lova country, you from Maryland, while you from Rewa. I'm about that way, oh, young people, I'm up on the fine way. Nabila, I love Liberia, freeland and liberty, Liberia. I love Liberia, they play for me and you, Liberia.
I was raised in the slum by a chick with my girls. Kept it on the low, but we fought for the bones. True son of the soul, I'm a prince in my own. Never gonna lie, me, I love
from the east to the west, north to the south, let's come together as one. They say you're not there, we stand, divided we fight. If we not celebrate, we do it for it. While you forget it, you from Lova country, you from Maryland, while you from Rewa. I'm about that way, oh, young people, I'm up on the fine way. Nabila, I love Liberia, freeland and liberty, Liberia. I love Liberia, they play for me and you, Liberia.
I was raised in the slum by a chick with my guns. Kept it on the low, but we fought for the bones. True son of the soul, I'm a prince in my own. Never gonna lie, me, I love LIB. Even though it's far, when we show we can face it. It's not a prophecy, I know that we can rise again. Holding my hand, I'm holding your own. United we stand, divided we fall. You know what I say when I come with ball. When I chillin' on that side, and I get no bro. I got L to the O to the V and the E. If we fighting together, we can conquer this city. From the east to the west, then waving the flag from the north to the side. Yeah, I'm joining the team. You go where you pella, you love my crown. Who kill it? Who got Jonah?
I love Liberia, freeland and liberty, Liberia. I love Liberia. Small Central from the east to the west, north to the south, yeah, let's come together as one. They say you're not there, we stand, if I there, we fight. If we not celebrate, we do it for you. Voila, you from Gentile, you from Lower Country, you from Maryland. Voila, you from Rewa City. I'm a bastard, we own your people, I'm up on the fine way. Nabila, Kriwako, I love Liberia, oh yeah, yeah. Free land on liberty, Liberia, oh yeah, yeah. Ah, oh yeah, yeah. I love Liberia, oh yeah, yeah. Play for me and you, Liberia, oh yeah, yeah. Ah, oh yeah, yeah.
I was raised in the swamp, but I chilled with my guns. Kept it on the low, but we fought for the boom. True son of the sun, I'm a prince in my own. Never gonna lie, me, I love LIB. Even though it's far, when we show we can face it. It's not a prophecy, I know that we can rise again. Holding my hand, I holding your own. United, we stand, divided, we fall. So that's what they say when I come with ball. When I chillin' on that side, and I get no bro. I got L to the O to the V and the E. If we fighting together, we can conquer this team. From the east to the west, then waving the flag from the north to the side. Yeah, that's joining the team. You go, you pella, you lama, or crown. Who kill it? Who got Jonah?
I love Liberia, oh yeah, yeah. Free land on liberty, Liberia, oh yeah, yeah. Ah, oh yeah, yeah. I love Liberia, oh yeah, yeah. Play for me and you, Liberia, oh yeah, yeah. Ah, oh yeah, yeah.
Mama was born, yeah. Papa was born, yeah. They hold us together, the honey boy, yeah.
From the east to the west, north to the south, yeah, let's come together as one. They say you're not there, we stand, if I there, we fight. If we not celebrate, we do it for you. Voila.
And so, welcome to it. This is Open Conversation on ELBC Radio. My name is TT Gibro, your lone presenter this evening. And tonight on the program, as we do it every other time, we will bring you the trending issues of today. But before that, we will also tell you who we are talking to this evening. And on the program tonight, we will be playing host to two distinguished gentlemen, and they're none other but the spokesperson of the Opposition Unity Party, Mr. Mo Ali, will sit on the platform with us this evening. And also joining us on the platform is Councillor Kanio Barbala of the We Are Intellectual movement. And so our discussion will center around national political issues this evening on Open Conversation. As you know, the conversation is open, and so we will give you time also to lend in your thoughts this evening on Open Conversation. It promises to be super fantastic. But before we go into our main issue for today, or the main discussion for today on Open Conversation, we like to drill you through what's trending in Liberia today. You already know that today is July 4th. It is America's 247th birth anniversary or Independence Day. So all of you U.S. citizens and our partners from the U.S., we like to say happy independence to you. But today also, His Excellency, we already know, we told you yesterday, he is still in Israel on an official visit, and he met with the president of Israel today, President Isaac Herzog, and who were told, among other things, that it was discussed. What was discussed, among other things, was that the establishment of an embassy, that is the Liberian embassy in that Asian nation, is something great, because that is going to help us as a country to further strengthen our ties with that country. The president, we're told today, also will meet with the Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu, and later on today, that's what we're told. And so all of that is going to be happening today. Also trending in Liberia, we're told that Tim Weah has hit Liberia. He's in country. He just signed a contract with Juve. Somebody says I shouldn't say Juventus, but I should say Juve, and I can say Juventus. So that is great. Welcome home, Team Weah. And also trending today in Liberia, the NEC, the National Elections Commission. Who doesn't want to hear about elections? We're going to elections in October. And so because we're going to elections, the NEC is putting her house in order. We're told that there was a strategic dialogue with political parties on the implementation of the minimum 30% gender quota. These people signed an MOU, and the NEC wants them to make sure that they are together, and women participation is very key in these elections, and the National Elections Commission wants to make sure that, whatever they put pen to paper, they should also implement that. Kudos to the National Elections Commission. We also know in the news today that the Unity Party standard bearer and officials of its party risk incarceration because the party allegedly failed to pay rent owed the Wadlow McLean Enterprise Incorporated. We will have the spokesperson already here with us of the Unity Party, Mr. Moali, obviously will tell us where they stand on that issue. Today also legal arguments between state prosecutors and defense counsel representing indicted former Chief Justice Gloria Musu-Scott and 3 others were heard at Criminal Court A. This was as a result of a submission of 2 separate motions filed by the defense team of former Chief Justice and the 3 others. And, before I leave you, we have our judicial correspondent who is with us, and Fabienne Kuya is going to talk to us a little bit about what happened in court today because she was there and she followed the deliberations this morning in court. And so Fabienne is joining us this evening on Open Conversation, and we're going to be talking more about that. Fabienne, welcome to Open Conversation.
Thank you so kindly.
How are you?
I'm doing great.
Great. And it's good to have you here. You were at the court today where legal arguments between state prosecutors and defense counsel representing former Chief Justice. There was a hearing. And like I said, this was as a result of a submission of 2 separate motions filed by the defense team of former Chief Justice and the 3 others. What does that mean?
Well, as you may be aware, criminal courts by now at the Temple of Justice, anywhere across Nigeria, are closed for a term and will be opening for the August term of court. And so,
okay, Fabienne, sorry, we're not getting you. I'm sorry about that. But what does it mean when because obviously, the courts are closed, but we hear that, a motion was filed and there was a hearing today. So why did that happen?
Well, her legal team, remember on June 22, when the Monrovia City Court issued a writ of arrest on former Chief Justice and 3 others at her 16th Street residence. They were brought under the jurisdiction of the court, the magisterial court, which is the first court of instance.
Okay.
And they were formally charged. And so the lawyers filed for an admission to bail. And so that was argued in court on Thursday.
That mean?
To have them, to have them bail out or temporary release. Yeah. Okay. Temporary release.
Is that something that happens when somebody is indicted for murder?
Yes, you can file it. It's left with your legal team. You can file, but under our law, murder is capital offense. But sometimes lawyers need to test the water. And so,
try to
test the system. So they filed that. They argued it on that Thursday, and Judge Ben Barco of the Monrovia City Court reserved ruling, and the case was called for hearing on Friday, which of course he came down with the ruling and denied that. And he denied that motion on grounds that the Monrovia City Court lacks jurisdiction because it's first court of instance and murder cannot be heard in that court. And so he asked the clerk to transfer that to Criminal Court A, which of course Gloria Scott, a legal team, went and filed 2 separate motions. One after they suffered a defeat at the city court, Monrovia City Court. Then they went to criminal court 8 and filed, and then later on they filed a motion for discovery. So there were 2 motions they filed before criminal court 8 that the judge had the assignment for today's date, July 4th, at the court.
Okay, so that was what the judge went to listen to their arguments,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And what was the outcome of that?
Well,
argument?
the first motion that was entertained was the motion for discovery, meaning that if Titi Jibro indicts Fabian Quia for some crimes levied against me, you must be able to give Fabian's defense team all the evidences attached with what you indicted her for. And so it was what they prayed for, and that argument was heard today at criminal court 8. The judge granted that by law because prosecution did not give all the evidences to defense, and so he granted that. But for the
Is
motion,
it something they should do? Is it legal?
Yeah,
that
it's
when
legal,
you-
it's legal,
When somebody
yes.
is indicted, you
Yes,
must
it's
tell
legal.
them, you must give all the evidence
Yes,
to
yes.
prove that, to prove your case.
to prove
beyond
your
all
case, they got to
reasonable
know
doubt.
what you have. So
Okay.
you got to give it to them. So you got to give them what you have so they can look at it. And once the argument starts, they can go into it.
Okay.
And so that was granted. It's under the law. But
Is
for
that
the,
something, sorry, is that something is it something that must always be done? That if somebody is accused, especially of a capital offense, that all the evidence must be adduced in court?
sure, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
And so that was granted under the law. And the second argument was the motion to admit to bill that they argued in court, and the judge ruled few minutes after and denied that motion. Interestingly, Titi, Gloria Scott legal team was so huge. You had the
But why was that motion denied? What was the reason
Because-
given?
prosecution arguments they proffered before the court was that murder is a capital offense, and that should not be bailable
Okay, so
under the law.
non-bailable
Yes,
offense.
and
Okay.
so they denied that motion, and we expect by tomorrow, July 5, to see evidences being produced and given to defense team. But interestingly, with that huge number of lawyers that she had with some former
How many
associate-
lawyers does she have representing her?
more than 20.
More than 20.
More than 20. So we had the likes of former Associate Justice Kambina Jane, Wilkins Wright. They are all former Associate Justices. They form part of the team. Augustine Faya and AFL President and Vice President, Medina
Why does
Wisse.
she have all of those people? Is it okay to have too many lawyers? Does that mean
Yeah,
that you're going
it-
to win the case if the lawyers are so many? Will all of them have an opportunity to speak in court?
Not
of those
all,
lawyers?
not all we have the opportunity to speak in that instant, and in that case, you always have lead lawyers.
So then
most
what are
days, yeah.
the other people are just on the bench
I
giving
mean,
backup
yes,
or
they,
what?
they are there giving their input and what have you, and so
But they're not allowed to speak, or they're just whispering to the lead lawyer. Is that how it works?
yeah. Or
Okay.
every one of them won't speak in court. They have lead lawyers, and they have people designated to speak to certain issues.
Okay.
But then when they entered the court this morning, to be precise, it was exact 10:21 a.m. this morning
Okay.
when they entered the court with heavy escort, armed police and correction officers.
They
Took
were
them
brought in from the
Monrovia Central
Okay.
Precinct,
Okay.
brought them in and placed them on the prisoner's bench. They weren't handcuffed.
okay.
They walked.
Okay.
And so brought them and placed them on the bench. When the case was called for hearing by the sheriff of the court, they took them and placed them in the dock. And
Why
so,
were they not handcuffed? Is it not,
I
precedent
mean, they are
for
not
that
at
to happen?
flight race.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I mean,
So that happens if people believe that, if the court believes that you will
at
not
flight
run,
race,
you have no harm
so
to them.
That,
Okay.
That's something. So during the argument, she joined her legal team.
Why did she do that? Does she have the right to do that? Is it, okay?
I
Is
think
it
because
acceptable?
because it was for the motions, but I'm sure during the real trial for next month, probably she might not form part of the legal team. But as a lawyer, she also have a say.
Does the law give you an option as a lawyer when you are,
Of course, yeah, you can represent yourself.
yourself?
Yeah, you can
Even though
represent
you
yourself.
have other people
Yeah.
representing you, you can still
You can do that and
yourself.
represent yourself. And so
Okay.
that's what she did in court for more than 20 minutes today.
What did she say?
Yeah, she kept saying that the people know who the killers are.
Who people?
And she just, when she referring to people, obviously it's prosecution are prosecuting her. So she kept saying that the people know who the killers are. And so they got them there and saying that because of the indictment they drew and the rate of arrest. It did not even include alleged, but it just had murder, as if to say they have been adjudged guilty. And so she cited a portion of the law that says once you are indicted or may be arrested, you are innocent until proven otherwise guilty.
But
And
that is
so-
the truth, right?
yeah, that is true. So obviously, in that case, the burden of proof will now shift to the prosecution to prove their case beyond all reasonable doubt. And prosecution in court today said that they have enough evidence to prove all the charges levied against us. So once we are waiting for the trial of the case, because it hasn't commenced, it's just motions that are going through.
Okay.
And so by next month, during the August term of court, we will be seeing them coming back to criminal court A, where the indictment will be read in open court and they will plead either guilty or not guilty. Once they plead not guilty to the indictment, TT, that means they have shifted the blame on prosecution to prove beyond all reasonable doubt.
that-
So it's two-way, either yeah, guilty or not guilty. So
Okay.
we are waiting to hear that.
So we're in the preliminary stages now.
Yeah.
Okay,
For
so
motions, yeah.
Tomorrow, a prosecution must deliver. They are to deliver
Yes,
the evidence.
the
to
evidences
the
which
court,
include,
right?
yeah,
Okay.
the weapon in question.
Mhm. The
and
murder weapon.
Yeah, the murder weapon, all pieces of evidences, the murder weapon, and the autopsy report, statement from the defendants before the special grand jury, and all other witnesses' testimony. So
So
we
what
are-
are you hearing, Fabian? You around the courts. What are you hearing? Does prosecution have all of these evidence they're asking for? Do they have the murder
This-
weapon? Do they have? Obviously, they will have the autopsy report, but do they have a weapon, a murder weapon, to produce to the court?
Probably they have, in such instance like that, once the evidences are being produced, sometimes they don't Yes, guilty or not, the
Okay.
four, they must
The
be
four of
present
them,
in court
okay.
to answer. And so they will come back in open court, and a lot of people will follow the case because for the personalities I saw there today, probably they were interested. And I saw the likes of our former Foreign Minister Olubankiki.
Okay.
She was there. I saw Wapolu County Senator Boto Kane, Cornelius.
Really about somebody who has died, a young woman who has lost a life, and the person who did this to her must be brought to justice.
It's not about opposition versus the government, but a life has been lost. A child was allegedly murdered. in a home of the former Chief Justice. And so that's somebody's life that has been taken. So it's nothing like politicizing it, but in that instant, especially associated with the person in question, a lot of people will want to know why it happened, where it
is adduced in court as requested by the judge. Thank you so much.
Thank
Fabian
you.
Kuya is our reporter at the court. They're telling you about what happened today in open court. It's your time. We're going to open up the lines now. Before we take our guests on threatening issues, the issues that we talked about, we're going to open up the lines. We're taking a short break. When we come back, we'll open up the lines and then you can make your input. Tell us what you think about, the case, Gloria Musu-Scott and 3 others were in court today. You listened to Fabian Kuya. We already told you His Excellency is in Israel. He has met with the president of Israel. The NEC today started a strategic dialogue with our political parties on the implementation of the minimum 30% gender quota. We said that Unity Party standard bearer and officials of his party risk incarceration because they failed allegedly to pay rent owed the Wardle McLean Enterprise Incorporated. Moali will be here shortly on the program. He was going to speak to that, but we'll open the lines. Let's take a short break. We will be back. Stay with us. This is Open Conversation.
From the east to the west, north to the south, let's come together. I go. They say united we stand, divided we fight. If we not celebrate, we do it for you. Voila, you forget it. You from Lower Country, you from Maryland. Voila, you from Rewa Says. And we own your people, I work on the fine way. Tabila, I love Liberia, ooh yeah yeah. Freeland and liberty, Liberia, ooh yeah yeah. I love Liberia, ooh yeah yeah. Play for me and you, Liberia, ooh yeah yeah.
I was raised in the slum by a chick with my guns. Kept it on the low, but we fought for the bones. True son of the sun, I'm a prince in my own. Never gonna lie, me, I love LIB. Even though it's poor, when we show we can face it. It's not a prophecy, I know that we can rise again. Holding my hand, I'm holding your own. United, we stand, divided, we fall. You know, I told say when I can't with ball, when I chill on that side, and I get no bro. I got L to the O to the V and the E. If we fight it together, we can conquer this team. From the east to the west, and waving the flag from the north to the side. Yeah, that's joining the team. You go, you fella, you know my crown. Who cares? Who got it?
I love Liberia, ooh yeah yeah. Freeland and liberty, Liberia, ooh yeah yeah. I love Liberia, ooh yeah yeah. They play for me and you, Liberia, ooh yeah yeah.
Mama was born, yeah. Papa was born, yeah. They hold us together, the happy boy, yeah. Nobody can knock your back, and I'm a papa, nobody can knock your back, and I'm a papa. Nobody can knock your back, and I'm a papa. Nobody can knock your back, and I'm a papa.
And so welcome to Open Conversation again on ELBC Radio. And we are also online. It's about time we open up the lines now for you to call us on 0880-514-096 and make your import on the issues of today before we take our guests who are already waiting to join us. 0880-514-096 is the number to call, and you'll be live tonight on Open Conversation, and we will be discussing only now about the issues that are trending in our country that we just spoke about. You heard that former Chief Justice Gloria Musu-Scott and 3 others came to court today. Let's take our very first caller who's on the line. Hello.
Yeah, good evening to you and good evening to the family of ELBC.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you. Let me appreciate you for the conversation. The fact that you announced that the spokesperson for Unity Party, Honorable Muali, will be on the state radio this evening. I want to give it up for the management team. I see you guys are doing well. That's what we call state radio. It's for all Liberians, just for political education. But to the issue, my name is Cooper Passaway, and I'm following this evening from district number 11. I think he discussed the president trip to Israel. I saw the delegation. I don't know whether or not all those people the president whether they are importing on that trip, because I saw the city mayor, I saw the deputy minister, I saw the defense minister, foreign minister, lawmakers.
So you're concerned about the people who are on the trip with the president and not the substance from what is coming out of the trip. You're not concerned about that, right?
Yes, I did recall a month ago the president traveled when I said someone going in Europe, and I had a deal with him, and anything. All we saw on social media was a photo. So I'm concerned because the president is travel away personal money. He used us about to travel that trip with group of citizens. So my concern,
what do you call group of citizens? The people who work with the president, it's in his purview to do that, sir. So let's go to the okay, thank you for your input on the show, sir. Thank you so much. Let's take this other caller. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yes. Hello. Good evening.
How you doing?
Yeah. Oh, good evening to you. This is Ramsey. I'm following closely from Zuefu, Grand County.
Paul.
Yes.
Let's hear you.
Okay. Thank you very much. I want to appreciate Fabine. She did a very brilliant narrative, and I think it's giving us, especially those of us that are far away from the capital, giving us an idea going around the case concerning the former Chief Justice. And the fact that the law is not a respecter of person, and so we kind of laud the justice system for doing that. But again, as much as they want to.
Paul, are you there?
Are you getting me?
You're coming in broken. Please lend your thoughts now on the 30 seconds.
Okay, am I there now?
Yeah, you're live.
Okay, so I said the explanation from Fabi was very clear to us, especially on this side, and that we are following closely because tomorrow we'll also appreciate if we can have that kind of program to give people the idea of what goes around.
Obviously, we will give you updates. If the evidence is adduced tomorrow, we will let you know on the program. Thank you, Paul. Let's take this other caller. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening. How you doing?
I'm good.
Okay, this is Leader Ayuba Soare. I call from my Monserrato District 13 resident.
Okay.
So I call in relation to the analysis made by your colleague. So, I mean, she did a very brilliant analysis, but I think I differ with her. The case is not trying to be like the government versus the opposition. From what we have witnessed,
she didn't say that. I just asked her a question, and she even did not agree with me. So
she said it is not like that.
That's what she said. What do you think?
I said no. From our observation, that is what we are experiencing. The case has appeared to be like government of Liberia versus the opposition, mostly the opposition Unity Party.
Okay.
Because following the arrest of the former Chief Justice, we saw a barrage of releases from the opposition Unity Party and solidarity statements on grounds that they said or they claim that she is one of their lawyers. So if we are not mindful of this very sensitive case as a nation, the outcome might be politicized. And this is my fear as a Liberian.
So you don't have
We
to
want-
have a fear. The Lord needs to take its course, whether the outcome is, politicized or not. Let the lawyers do their job, sir. Thank you so much for, your input on the show. I totally agree with you, but the lawyers have to do their job. And obviously we are people who always politicize everything. But of course, obviously the law is the law. Thank you so much, sir. We have Sylvester Pee-wee on the line. Sylvester, thanks for joining us. Good evening.
Thank you, Titi. Yeah, good evening, Titi, and good evening to our very wonderful listeners. Listen, let me say thank you to you for this great innovation about this open conversation. I think the conversation is going to go more deep in analyzing the perspective of our country, how wonderful the country is, the politics, everything, basically. But again, I took interest into this issue about the president travel to Israel. I would love for, I listened to one of your callers, and basically we need to understand what presidential entourage is and presidential voyage is all about. The president will have to travel with very committed part of it, that auxiliary camp, that will be part of the cabinet and other structure of government that will perform, because we do have a very strategic bilateral relationship with Israel. You have to, this trip is about trade and cooperation. It's about helping us to promote our agricultural sector and the rest of that, and other business partnership that's going to bring some investment in the country. So the president will have to travel with some very strategic element that will network with their Israeli counterpart, ensuring that Liberia benefit from this. This is a president traveling. We're not talking about individual opposition leader traveling. It's the man that is carrying the seal of the republic. So I need to understand that when the president is traveling, we have detailed policy prescriptions that have been discussed from different perspectives, basically. There will
Totally
be
agree with you.
a lot of verbal arrangement from the foreign ministry perspective.
Totally agree with you.
The Monrovia City mayor will have to engage as to other partnership with the city of Tel Aviv and the rest of that. So it's the president travel. It's not ordinary person traveling here. He need to understand that as government bureaucracy. It's not
Thank
about
you,
international
Pee-wee, for
partnership
putting that
also.
point through. Thank you so much.
And quickly, before I leave you, I just want to talk about also this issue about the current case about the former Chief Justice. This got to prove to us that in Liberia, as Liberians, that this current government is open to allowing the judicial process to unfold in a more in a way that no one going to interfere into the process. I mean, we need to give the court system a chance, and we need to remove the sentiments from this process. The last time a lot of folks went to the Monrovia Central Prison and the rest of that, this is the legal time now. Let allow the court to play out. And then remove sentiments, political sentiment, the rest of that, and allow the problem. This government and this president, I understand, would not interfere in the court system and would not be a president that will do anything to breach the constitutionality of our republic. He wouldn't do that. So
Former
I just want to say
Assistant Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sylvester Pee-wee, for lending your thoughts. I thought you struck, a wonderful point to that caller. If the president travels out of the country, he is not the one who's going to be meeting, other partners. He has his able lieutenants, and that's their job. And that's why they go with him. So he decides who goes with him. And it is, the government, the Liberian people who are going to pay that money, but it has to come, and it comes always with dividend. We'll leave the call session. Let me take one more call, and then we leave it at that and join our guests who are already with us. Hello.
Good evening to you, Jibo.
Good evening, sir.
My name is Emmanuel Farr, and I join you from a comfortable residence in Bannerville tonight.
Thanks for joining us.
Let me appreciate your judicial reporter in person of Fabian Kuya for the updates that she gave to the Liberian people regarding to the case had to do with the former Chief Justice. And for us, we have been following the situation, and there's the reason why we are here from the Unity Party. We believe in the rule of law, and there's the reason why we have been calling on this government to see our best that this identical case, the international community are watching with the eye. But we just want to tell you that this identical case, this government lacks all of those evidence to come up with objective verdict against the formative
Okay,
justice.
we'll
We
see
know what
tomorrow
happened.
whether the government lacks the evidence.
We
It's not
know
in
what
your
happened to the $100 million
Hello,
case. We know
hello,
what happened to the $100 million case, and the
hello.
government just want to come over grandstand. And we know all those stuff.
Okay,
The
thank
government
you.
cannot produce any evidence with the whole case. So we are
Okay, thank
following
you.
that
We'll
just for
see
the
what
boss.
happens tomorrow. They're given tomorrow to, adduce the evidence. We'll see. It's just, not the right thing to say. The government does not have evidence because they've been asked to produce evidence, and we give them that opportunity to produce the evidence. If they don't, then you can call in and say the government, cannot do that. So let's take a short break. When I come back, my guest will join me this evening on Open Conversation. Stay with us. We will be talking to the spokesperson of the Unity Party, Mo Ali, and Kanio Bala of the We Are Intellectual Movement are my guests this evening on Open Conversation. Let's take a break. We will be right back. Stay with us, please.
From the east to the west, north to the south, let's come together as one. They say you're not there, we stand, divided we fight. If we not celebrate, we do it for it. While you forget it, you from Lova Country, you from Maryland, while you from Rewa Says, I'm about that way on your trip, I have a funny fine way. Tabila, I love Liberia, feeling all liberty, Liberia, I love Liberia, they play for me and you, Liberia,
I was raised in the slum by a chick with my gun. Kept it on the low, but we fought for the boon. True son of the soil, I'm a prince in my own. Never gonna lie, me, I love LIB. Even though it's poor, when we show we can face it. It's not a prophecy, I know that we can rise again. Holding my hand, I'm holding your own. United, we stand, divided, we fall. You not gonna say when I come with ball, when I chill on that side, and I get no bro. I got L to the O to the V and the E. If we fighting together, we can conquer this team. From the east to the west, and waving the flag from the north to the side. Yeah, that's joining the team. You go, you fella, you come out, crown. Who cares? Who got it?
I love Liberia, feeling all liberty, Liberia, I love Liberia, they play for me and you, Liberia, Mama was born, yeah. Papa was born, yeah. They hold us together, the happy boy, yeah. Nobody can go back and have a papa. Nobody can go back and have a papa. Nobody can go and have a papa. Nobody can go and have a papa. La biro waka kama
Welcome to Open Conversation right here on ELBC Radio. My guests are already set and ready to rule. And so, good evening, Mr. Mo Ali, Mr. Spokesperson of the Opposition Unity Party. Thanks for joining us this evening on Open Conversation.
Thank you, Titi, and I'm happy to be here.
I'm getting more.
Are you getting me?
More, are you getting me?
Very clear.
More, are you getting me?
You are very loud and clear from my end.
Yes, I'm getting you now. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us this evening on Open Conversation.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, and I am happy to be on with my very, very long time friend, Kanio Bala. I am hoping that we'll have a very spirited and respectful conversation. Thank you.
Great. Me too, with that same hope. Councillor Bala, thanks for joining us. Welcome to Open Conversation.
Thank you very much. TT, can you hear me?
Yes, I'm hearing you loud and clear.
Oh, okay. So let me say thank you to you and to the great people of the Liberia Broadcasting System for putting in place such a very unique program. as I'm aware, I know you cover a majority of the country. So I think this gives us the opportunity to clarify a number of mistruths about this government, to also project the progress that has been made by this government over the last 6 years, and to demonstrate why President Weah deserves a new mandate based on all that he has achieved. And all of this we are going to assert based on the statistics, on the numbers, because the numbers don't lie. So yes, it's great to meet Mo once again. I know we have met before in times past, and we know what the results were. And so we meet again to sharpen the contradictions, but all in the interest of the country. And so we say thank you for this opportunity.
Great. So this is how we're going to roll this evening. I'm going to moderate this. I'm going to ask my questions, and I expect that each person, answers my question, and I will come with a follow-up questions. So I'm going to start up with you, Mr. Mo Ali, spokesperson of the Opposition Unity Party. My first question to you tonight is, I want you to tell us, what is the Unity Party trying to rescue that you did not rescue or redeem after being in power for 12 years? Would be my first question to you, Mr. Ali.
Now, firstly, I would say the premise of the question is a little faulty, given the understanding that the UP inherited a country that was non-existent, with no system in place, with no rules, with no water, with no electricity, and where civil servants were only taking pay salaries 2 times a year, $15 or $20 maximum. And we brought everything back to life, restored the country's lost image, gave measure of road, electricity, water, and left a country that was functional, took a budget from 60, 80 million to almost $600 million. And so to say what there you did not rescue for 12 years that you want to rescue would mean that when we left power or when we took power, we didn't do anything. Now there are several things this country needs to be rescued from. And I will start off with, firstly, the issue of drug abuse in this country. We have seen the systematic destruction of our young people in this country. Hello.
Yeah, Mo, I want us to go back a little bit because my question, I think I need more clarity from the question I asked. I heard you talk about water and electricity when your government took power 12 years back in restoring the country's lost image. Is that what you did for the Liberian people, and you think that is enough that you've done for 12 years having been in power? I want you to give us the tangibles, what you did in 12 years.
No, but your question, I was just trying to differ with the premise of your question. And I was telling you the Liberia we inherited, and in a nutshell, some of the things that we did. You did not ask me to give you what the UP achievements were over the 12 years. You asked me what we want to rescue the country from that we did not redeem over the 12 years. So I was just trying to lay that premise, that the premise of your question is faulty to begin with. And so I was now beginning to tell you what we want to rescue this country from.
Great. Before you tell me what you want to rescue the country for, let's go back a little bit I want you to tell me, how you left the country. What are the tangibles? What did you do when you were in power for 12 years?
So I will start off with electricity.
Okay.
In electricity, when we took over, when you saw light in Liberia, it was generators. And when we left the country with a hydro, with HFO generators that were producing electricity enough for the capital city and its surrounding. When we left this country, we are initiated the trans-border electricity that was already supplying Grangeda, Maryland, Nimba County. We signed the contracts and the substations were being constructed in various counties, including Cape Mount, Grand Bassa, Margibi, and other counties. All that was needed when we left was the distribution, the transmission and distribution of electricity. When we took over this country, water was a luxury. The White Plain.
A little bit. I like for us to make it clearer and plain and simple. Let's go back to electricity before, and I want you to talk about electricity. I want to ask you questions, and then I bring Councillor Barbara in. You said that when you took over as Unity Party government, when you took over before leaving power, most of Monrovia was electrified, right?
Absolutely.
When you say approximately
all of Monrovia, not most of Monrovia, all of Monrovia, a very large part of Painesville, the Gardensville Belt, and all of those things extending up across the St. Paul River Bridge. Nimba County was electrified. Zwedru in Grangeda and surrounding towns and villages in Grangeda. Maryland County, Fleabo, Harper, all those places are electricity. A certain portion of Bond County was also enjoy electricity. Grand Bassa County,
where all of these counties were enjoying electricity before the Unity power.
Of course, from the Trans-Border Electricity Program that we initiated and almost completed when the CDC took over.
The CLSG?
Of course.
Okay. Councillor Kanyo Bagbala, I'd like to bring you in on this one. Do you agree with the spokesperson of the Unity Party government that before President Sirleaf and Vice President Joseph Yuma Boaka left power, the whole of Monrovia was electrified? Grangeda, Maryland, Nimba, including Grand Bassa, according to him, through the CLSG project, were electrified.
Thank you very much, TT, for the opportunity again to appear on your platform. Before I come to that point, that very fallacious and deceptive and false point that Mo Ali has made, which has no basis in truth, no evidential basis to back it, I think it's important for me to firstly express my thanks and gratitude to His Excellency Dr. George Manneh Weah for the opportunity to have served as the youngest vice chairperson of the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission. Also, we want to make it very clear on this platform that our appearance here today is as a result of the fact that we have a new legislation that have created a new LACC. His Excellency Dr. Weah has appointed new commissioners, and therefore we are fully capable and able by law to participate in political activities. We just like to put that on the agenda. And as a consequence of that, our appearance here is important because we need to tell the story of George Weah's success in this country. Now, let me backtrack a bit. When Ali talks about rescue, this rescue mission is a provocation for laughter. It's a provocation for jest. It's a provocation for people to realize that indeed there is nothing on offer at the other side. When you want to rescue, we must first do a comparative analysis between what we inherited, and by we, I mean the government of the Coalition for Democratic Change under the able leadership of His Excellency Dr. George Manneh Weah, and what we have now. Because to rescue, you are insinuating, and there are people all across the country, TT, listening to ELBC in all of the counties. They have dubbed themselves a rescue mission. When you rescue, you take from a worse condition and you place in a better condition. So it's important for us to illuminate for the Liberian people to hear what was the condition that President Weah met our country in, and what is the condition now. Let me tell you what that condition is very clearly, including the question of electricity. Number one, when President Weah became president in 2018, he inherited a country that have been deserted by the international community in terms of a peace mission. For 12 years, under the ruling Unity Party that Mo Ali served, we had the largest contingent of UN peacekeepers that kept the peace in our country, infused hard capital into our economy for over close to 12 years. 15,000 men were preserving the peace. When President Weah took over in 2018, that contingent left this country. And you know what happened? The peace and security of the Liberian people fell on the shoulders of President Weah and the law enforcement agencies of his government. I am proud to say that today, after 6 years of shouldering the responsibility of peace and security in our country, go to Grand Jira, go to Lofa, go to Cape Mount, come to Monserrado. People can tell you, if they are very realistic objective, that peace reigns in this country. This is what we inherit as opposed to what we have.
Councillor
Yes.
Baba, I will
Yes.
ask you why the Liberian people should re-elect President Weah. And I think when you're answering that question, all of what you're saying is going to be in it. But I want to continue with Mo a little bit, but I want you to tell me if what Mo is saying, what is your response to what Mo is saying as it relates to electricity? And
I mean, the only way I can describe such an assertion is to say that it is a blatant lie. In 2021, it was under President Weah that the LESAP project funded by the World Bank was designed and has brought 630,000 households onto the electricity grid in Liberia. Prior to President Weah, the current West Africa power pool that most talk about, because the United Party government is a party of initiation, is a party of blueprint, is a party of, project proposals. But actualization as opposed to initiation is what the Liberian people are looking at today. So if you go to Ganta today that boasts of almost 24 hours electricity, this did not happen under the Unity Party government. When you go to Ganta, to Banga now that is being connected to the grid on a WAP, this did not happen under the Unity Party government. It happened under George Weah. And even in Monserrado County, where we have expanded electricity coverage to close to 60% of inhabitants in Monserrado County, it did not happen under the Unity Party government. So what I can say to electricity is that to all of those listening to our voice, that is a blatant lie.
What if you were to put a percentage to the amount of electricity produced or given the Liberian people under the former Unity Party-led government? What will be that percentage?
Like I've said before, historically, if you go by the lesser project, because the majority of electricity projects that have been deemed to bring electricity to our people have been funded under arrangements from the World Bank. And I cite you to the lesser project under the World Bank because it was under that project that we increased electricity production by almost 7% across the country. 630,000 people under the leadership of President Weah. That was opposed to before what we had nothing less than almost 15% of the people who had access to electricity under the Unity Party government. We have seriously changed the dynamics in terms of electricity, even in terms of price and in terms of dispersion.
Okay, let's hold you there and go back to Mo was telling us what the Unity Party government did when they were in power 12 years ago. He's giving us the tangibles. Mo, you listen to Councillor Bagbala. He says it was like 15% when it comes to electricity under your government before this government took over. Apart from electricity, if you have any counter, you can come in with that. And then what is the next thing that your government...
Let me come in very quickly. You know, I can understand that my friend Kanyo will call President Weah's name 50 times in one sentence because what he does best is preach thinking. You know, when we state facts in debates, the only way to counter those facts is by another fact. Fact number one, from Loga to Boda to Ganta to Sanikole, all those places, Zogowe, Campley, all those places were electrified long before we could even think about election. That's fact number one. Fact number two, from Harper to Plebo, all of the surrounding towns and villages in Maryland, between Harper to Plebo and other places, they had electricity. Fact number two. Fact number three, from from Nimba up to a certain portion of Bong County, they had electricity from the Trans-Border Electricity Initiative. That's fact
So
number
what those projects dedicated?
Titi, Daniel spoke without providing any counter facts to what I said.
As a project.
Fact number 4, we initiated the CLSG program, the sub-power stations in Nimba, in Basso, in Magibi, in Grand Cape Mount County, in Bomi County. They were all under construction. Even the one at Virginia, they were all under construction, and they were almost at the point of completion. And I said what was remaining was to increase transmission and distribution. That World Bank project that Kanyo alluded to, it is not to generate electricity, but to transmit and distribute electricity that's already been brought by the Unity Party government. So Kanyo, you fell very flat on that. You provided no counterfacts other than to praise President Weah for the rest of the time you were talking. Now let's come to roads. The last time when the finance minister sat on this radio, on this PLBC radio, he lied blatantly to the Liberian people that within the first 5 or 6 years of the CDC-led government, they have paved 600 plus kilometers of road. When we provided the counterfacts through our policy and program chair, who was Deputy Minister at Public Works, he came out yesterday to say that the Public Works Minister lied to him. Now, I can present to you and I can name you all of the roads that have been constructed by the CDC. In the first 6 years of the Unity Party-led government, when we inherited no road construction work from anywhere, we constructed 293.53 kilometers of road. On the contrary, the CDC-led government, which inherited most of the road work that the Unity Party was doing, some were ongoing, some funding source for, and everything up to date, they have been able to construct and complete 217.08 kilometers of road. So I am just taking it.
Okay, hold on a little bit.
From the first term of the UP because they have not gone second term. They will not go second term. So I'm taking the
okay, hold on a little bit. Hold on a little bit.
Right? I want to name you all of the roads that were constructed by the UP, and I can also name you all of the stretches of road that were constructed by the CDC government and the roads that they inherited from the UP-led government with funding and the stages they were at.
Did you say that the Unity Party government constructed 290 plus roads?
In the first term, from 2006
in 12 years, how many kilometers of road did you
construct? From 2006, Titi, I'm not talking about the whole 12 years. I'm comparing first term to first term. From 2006
for the whole 12 years, and then we'll come back to.
It will be a mismatch. We are talking about their first 6 years, and I will be talking about 12 years. No.
So we would do the math. We would do the math. It's not going to be more. It's not going to be a mismatch. You were summing up your 12 years accomplishment.
No, it's going to be a shame. It's going to be a shame. To be summing 12 years, it will be a mismatch. So let's deal with the first five years of the UP or the first 6 years of the UP versus the first 6 years of the CDC. They don't have a 12 year there, which they are not going to have.
That you were talking about, it was from the first 6 years of the Unity Party-led government.
The electricity, basically, most of the electricity work were done in the first 6 years. Basically, most of it was
you talking about everything, all your.
If you like to see, I have the facts here. I can give you it for the whole 12 years.
Yeah, so just tell me in 12 years, how many kilometers of road did the Unity Party government construct?
452.19 kilometers of road.
462. Okay, and you said in the first term of the CDC-led government.
No, no,
How
no.
many?
In the second term, from 2012 to 2017, we constructed 452.19. In the first term, we constructed 293.53.
Okay, so in CDC's first term, how many kilometers of road did you say they constructed?
In CDC first term, they have constructed 217.08 kilometers of road. And I challenge anybody to provide counterparts.
Where did the finance minister say? I heard you say that the finance minister said yesterday that he lied on ELBC radio. Where did he say that yesterday?
Titi, if I have your WhatsApp number, I can send it to you quoting OKFM news.
Where did
OKFM?
OKFM?
I can send it to you from OKFM. You take the issue of OKFM. Do you want me to?
Asking where you heard him say that. Did you hear him say that on OKFM?
I am quoting a reputable radio station here. OKFM.
Yes. Say that he lied or you heard him lie.
Let me quote OKFM.
No, I don't want you to quote OKFM. I'm saying, did you hear him on OKFM or you heard the station say that he lied?
Titi, I want to read verbatim what OKFM wrote. OKFM news.
So you're quoting what OKFM
which basically say the finance minister said that the public welfare minister gave him miscalculated figures.
Okay, you're just quoting OKFM. Let me hold you there more and come back to Kanyo. Councillor Gbagwala?
Yes, I'm here, Titi.
Okay, great. You listen to Moore talk about roads, and according to him, the Unity Party-led government in 12 years constructed 452 point something kilometers of road, and the CDC government has just done 217. Is that true? What is your counter to that?
Before I come to the road situation, which again is another fallacy, which we will dispatch with the evidence, which is symptomatic of what the Unity Party and Mo Ali do best, which is basically engage in mistruth and the weaponization of information without any basis in fact. That's why he's in a hurry to cite an OKFM newsroom that had been politicized by people like him to report information about the finance minister that is basically untrue. Let's start again with electricity. We maintain we came to power under the mantra of change. And Mo Ali asked the question, why is it that we repeat His Excellency Dr. Weah's name? Under any developmental initiative, there is a vision bearer. I can understand why Mo Ali does not want to repeat the name of Dr. Boyka, because he has no record. Clearly, he said he was a packer. He said opportunities were squandered. He therefore cannot even bear in some of these, even though they cannot be proven, these so-called gains that Mo Ali is attributed to the Unity Party cannot be attributable to Joseph Boyka. And that's why he cannot call Joseph Boyka's name. However, I am privileged to have to mention, if I must mention it 1 million times, I will mention His Excellency Dr. George Manneh Weah's name 1 million times, because everything that I cite here is his political CV, is his political legacy, it is his developmental record. And the Liberian people across the political subdivision of Liberia must hear this and know what he has done in 6 years, as opposed to what Mo Ali and others could not do in 12 years. Let's talk about electricity now, having set the basis. Now, Mo Ali talks about electricity was in behind, I don't know what he called the place, inside of Ganta. Electricity was in these far-flung places. There are people listening to this broadcast as we speak in the furthest flung areas within the southeast of the Republic of Liberia. They are in Nimba, they are in Grand Cru, they are in Riverside. And Mo Ali says here and paints a bold-faced lie that electricity were in those areas. This is horrendous. Even to gain political power, you don't engage in this kind of blatant lie. I mean, when we came to power, we increased the dispersion of electricity by over 7%. In 2019, when the lesser project was initiated by His Excellency Dr. George Manneh Weah, under his leadership, 632,000 additional people were brought and exposed to electricity.
which is an increase of 7% of the population now getting electricity. We did that in 6 years. What did they do in 12 years? Let's talk about roads. Mo Ali and others like him who peddle lies to the Liberian people will not succeed on the road argument because facts are stubborn. Data is stubborn. Data cannot lie. When this government came to power, and again, Mo Ali displays a classic ignorance of the facts and the data in regards to roads. He does not even know how much roads are being constructed under his SY government. When we came to power, approximately 745 kilometers of roads have been constructed prior to the ruling CDC coming to power. For 12 years, they were able to construct 745 kilometers approximately of roads. Today,
That's more.
we
That is
have been
more. That is less than what Moore gave us, though.
but that's what I'm saying. He does not know the data. This guy is peddling something out of his own brain. The records will show, and I can show you substantive report. Go to RAR, Rural Access Index under the World Bank. Check the access of roads in 2017, 2018. You can fact check this. In Liberia, it will not go about 745 kilometers of road. And I place my professional reputation on the line. If you can find any other data that is different from what I'm telling you, that's what we inherited. Today, we have taken road construction to 1,375 kilometers. And it is proven. So the finance minister spoke emphatically and he spoke factually because the records are there. Where are these roads? Banga to Salaye did not exist when we came to power. It was another blueprint. It was another initiation on the part of the ruling party because they are good at blueprint, they are good at signing agreements, they are good at initiating. But Liberian people are not here for blueprint. We are here for implementation. And that's what we did. Banga to Salaye. 45 kilometers of road constructed under this government. Ganta to Saclay, PA. 20 kilometers of road constructed under this government. Sanikwele to Logatuo. 31 kilometers of road constructed under this government. Ganta to Yekepa, 30 kilometers of road constructed under this government. Tapeta to Tuotan, 40 kilometer road ongoing under this government. I don't even want to talk about the community roads because these are almost over 250 kilometers of community roads within Monserrado. Go to Gator. The road that is constructed in Gator, where did it happen before? Smythe Road, where did it happen before? Johnsonville, where did it happen before? Soul Clinic Road, where did it happen before? All of these roads happened under the leadership of His Excellency Dr. George Manneh Weah. The RRA corridor leading to the airport is happening now under the leadership of President George Manneh Weah. So when the finance minister spoke and he said that we have doubled what they did in 12 years, in 6 years, he spoke factually and emphatically. And we understand what Mo Ali and others are trying to do. And that's why when they talk about fact checking, we must fact check the OKFM newsroom. We must fact check what comes out of the newsroom of these people who write news after the fact, who twist statements from eminent stakeholders and present them in a different manner. The finance minister did not lie. The records do not lie. It is there. We have done more roads in 6 years than they did in 12 years. We have provided more people with electricity in 6 years than they did in 12 years. And the records are there and they can be fact checked.
Okay, so let me go back to more because we got 50 minutes past 9 now, and we've got 45 minutes to be on this program tonight. More, I'm going to give you 3 minutes to just rumble through, and then I come back to Kanyo. I give you 3 minutes to demystify whatever myth you believe More is putting out there, and then we jump to another question. So More, just conclude with what in 3 minutes, what the Unity Party government did in 12 years, and then I'll give Kanyo his 3 minutes, and then we'll move to another question.
So Titi, firstly, I will correct you. I said in the first 6 years, we constructed 293.53 kilometers of road.
Mm-hmm.
In the second 6 years, we constructed 452.19 kilometers of road. That is a total of 745.72 kilometers of road.
Okay, so
yes,
You were talking about the 400 in the 12 years. So then I made the mistake. That's what I said.
I come in. Yesterday, the finance minister appeared on Freedom FM, a station that sings praises to the regime and the president for 24/7. And the finance minister admitted that he provided misleading information about the kilometer of road constructed. He said that the current regime has paid 627 kilometers of road on ERBC. That information was not true, that they have paid only 300 plus kilometers of road, a fact that we even disputed. Now to some of the things that Kanye was saying, from Ganga to Salaye, from Ganta to Yekepa, from this place to this place, from Ganta to Sakepe. Apparently, my brother Kanyo has a very short memory. And let me bring you back to memory lane, Kanyo. Banga to Salaye, the resources were sourced by the UP. It was at the groundbreaking ceremony of that road when President Salif then invited President Weah. Maybe you forgot so soon. The Ganta to Yekepa road, in everything sourced by the Unity Party-led government from Ashilon Mittal. You do not know that? From Ganta to Sakepe. You listen to Senator Prince Johnson. It was the road initiated funding source by the Unity Party. As a matter of fact, of all of the roads that you have been doing, majority of which are community roads, it is only 135.5 kilometers of road that the CDC government has been able to source funding for. And I maintain with the factor data that you've been able to construct only 217.08 kilometers of road. Come back to the issue of what you inherited. I have challenged you people over and over, and I can name you all the stretch of road and all of the roads that you inherited. Show me one major highway, apart from these community roads that are already spoiling and you are rebuilding 2-3 times, like the one in Miami around the president's house. A very major highway that you have source funding for, you have initiated, drone blueprint, source funding for. And you know, when you talk about, blueprint, Kanyo, that is the reason why the region is failing very massively at the historical proportion, because there is nothing you can do without planning. Planning is the bedrock of everything, especially for people who go to school. For somebody who goes to school to be, anti-planning is something that beats my imagination. And so roads, until you can show me the facts which I am providing, I will provide to you stress by stress, kilometer by kilometer, the roads you are constructed in every community, as opposed to you just saying the UP roads that you are naming. Only one road that you saw funding for. We constructed road from where the place in the southeast, the capital city of Maryland, Harper, almost to Riwaji Fishtown. The fundings were there, everything from the African Development Bank. For you to even complete it today, you can do it. And I listened to the senator of Maryland County, Senator James Barney. He said the first time I saw asphalt paved highway road in the southeast was under the Unity Party government. The first time I saw widespread electricity in Harper City, Plebo, was under the Unity Party-led government. The first time the people of Riwaji saw Kota Road was under the Unity Party-led government. You inherited something, you've setting them backward, you've not done anything much. And so you cannot provide for, you have not gone more than 250 kilometers of road. I challenge you.
More, your 3 minutes have expired, but before I come to Kanyo, I want to ask you: did you say that the CDC-led government inherited the blueprint of these roads that Kanyo named and
not only blueprint, they inherited funding for those roads. The inherited.
So when you said inherited fundings, what do you mean? The fundings were just lying there.
Let me put it, they were here. They were here, right? When you inherit funding for road, that means we finish looking for the money, the sources of the money. You just need to come and collect the money and build the road.
Okay, so the money was just sitting there and they just came and collected it and built the roads.
Titi, these things are agreement. These things are agreement. When the agreements have timelines and limitations of those timelines. At a certain point in time, this phase kicks off. When we are through with paying RAP, like on the salary road, that Ganta to salary road, what was left, the government obligation was to pay RAP, the resettlement for those whose properties would have been consumed into the road. Once you pay that, once you do that,
your government paid, right?
What?
Your government paid RAP. The Unity Party-led government paid the RAP for that road.
It was in the making. Some of the RAP has been paid, and it was not completed when the CDC inherited.
How much was the RAP was paid? I want you to be specific. You said I asked whether you paid your government, Unity Party-led government paid for the
We
RAP.
are paid some already. That's why I'm trying to tell you. You need to give me a chance to answer the question when you ask.
Your 3 minutes elapsed. That's why your 3 minutes elapsed, and I have to go back to.
So you asking me question. When you ask me question, give me a chance to answer.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. Okay.
Then
so
I just the audience to get it clear.
Sure,
we
I just want
we are paid more than 50% of the RAP for that role. The funding was there from the Kuwaiti Arab Consortium Fund. So what we needed was to complete the balance payment of the RAP, and then the Arab Consortium Fund provide the money for the construction of the road. That road should have been completed a long time, but because of the delay in payment of the balance RAP by the CDC government, that's why they're still working on it.
Okay, let me hold you there more. Thank you so much. Come back to you, Councillor Barbara. You listen to Moali. What's your counter to that?
Thank you, Titi. I would have restricted myself to the continuous education of Mo Ali about the stats associated with road construction in Liberia, which demonstrates that this government, under the leadership of Dr. George Manewia, has constructed more roads in 6 years than the Unity Party constructed in 12 years. I would have restricted myself to that. I would have restricted myself to the fact that we have provided electricity to more people in Liberia, a 7% increase in 6 years over what the Unity Party did in 12 years. But he has done something that is now forcing me to delve into this whole conversation of inheritance, that they had secure funding, which again is a patent lie and propaganda information that they want to confuse the Liberian people with. And we're not allow such things to happen again. As we march to October, we will provide all of the information to our people. The kind of weaponized information that more and others use to bring people on the street saying 13 billion or 16 billion got missing, to bring people on the street and say fix the country, to bring people on the street to disturb the peace and security of the country here, will not happen again, because we erect the necessary intellectual and statistical checkpoints so people are aware. Now, what did we inherit in terms of funding? We have maintained, and the records will show that we inherited a country that was broke and crawling on its knees. In the face of the COVID-19 pandemic, when this government took over in 2018, again, I don't speak flippantly like Mo does. I don't DE anecdotal evidence like Mo does. I provide you the statistic. Go to Article 4 consultations of the IMF. You will see what we inherited. We inherited a central bank that was undercapitalized. So where is the funding that more and others secure to build this road when the central bank of the Republic of Liberia was undercapitalized, which means it did not have even sufficient reserve to support our economic activity? This is not Kanu Barbara saying it. This is the IMF saying it. The records are there. It can be fact-checked. When most say they secure funding for all these roads that we have built, the IMF says also that at the time when we took over, we had debts that we could not even service at the time we took over, when they handed the government to us. So where was the funding that Mo and others secure? The fact of the matter remains that no funding was secure. There was no money anywhere. This country was broke and crawling on its knees. And the fact is, he did not even have the statistics. He was compelled to agree with us
that at the end of the day, if you look at what we have done in 6 years compared to what they did in 12 years, you will see there's a gross disparity. We have double what they've done. Now, we can talk about blueprints and planning, and that is one of the challenges of the ruling United Party, that's why ruling United Party government, when they think they are the repository of ideas and scholastic endeavors, that when they go to school. But school is only important to the Liberian people insofar as it changes the material conditions. When the Liberian people gave you 12 years to lead and to change the material conditions, and you go and get PhDs and doctorate degrees, and you come back to our country and you cannot change that, that is not education that helps us. When you plan and you don't implement, that planning is wasteful. You claim you had a blueprint. You claim you initiated. You did groundbreaking, but you did not build a road. Why didn't you build a road? You say you negotiated with ArcelorMittal and others. It took the WEA government to come back and renegotiate the ArcelorMittal deal that led to the paving of the roads in Nimba today as we speak. So nothing can be further from the truth. And the Liberian people must know that all of the roads that I've cited, the evidence will show you that we constructed those roads. Now, finally, roads more clean, but we must show him a major highway. This is classic elitism at play. Show us a major highway, because in most mind, what is major is what affects people like him. But what is minor is those that affect the larger population. So in sheer numbers, though we have eclipsed them in terms of roads that we have constructed, in the eyes of Mo, when we build road from Johnsonville going up to Lincoln, with Point Blanc and other places, it's not a major highway to Mo. Maybe he does not go to Johnsonville. So he's not privileged to the improvement in material living conditions of people in Johnsonville as a result of that road. When we build a road in Soul Clinic that goes up there, if Mo had ever gone to Soul Clinic before, a community where I live not less than 15 minutes from, when we have transformed that road, Mo will not talk about a major highway, because that road affects the lives of people who every day live in this country in squalor. When we build roads in Old Road, these are community areas. Look at the population of Monserrado County firstly. Are you saying these people don't deserve to live in a place where they have paved road? Or it must be to access places that Mo and people like him, the so-called educated people, where they go, that's where now roads are important. Let's talk about the numbers. Mo must take on the numbers. And if we meet him, it's good that he confirmed the number I gave you when we came to power. In 12 years, I will maintain as we progress from the road conversation. So they can come back again and go say that the Minister of Finance lie about the numbers. Let's make sure that the numbers stick today. As we speak to the 15 counties, let it be clear today that when we came to power, we inherited 745 kilometers of road. As we speak, we are at 1,375 kilometers of road.
Okay,
12 years, 745. 6 years, 1,375. And we are still constructing roads.
3 minutes.
And the facts must be true.
Okay, your 3 minutes have elapsed. And I'm going to ask Mo a question now. And Mo is going to answer my question. We don't have much time. It's I need to give time for those who are listening to this conversation to weigh in and their thoughts on the conversation. But before I do that, I know there is something that is trending in our country today, and I want to give Mo an opportunity to speak to that. And that is your party, the Unity Party, the standard bearer of your party, Mo Ali, and officials of your party risk incarceration for allegedly because they failed to pay rent or to McLean Enterprise. That's Wardlow McLean Enterprise Incorporated. Your standard bearer is in hot water. You know, authorities of your party or officials of your party are in hot water as it relates to this case. And this case is not today's case. What is the position of your party when it comes to that? Because that doesn't sound like good news.
I will say this first.
Okay.
As a host, the same leverage you give Kanyo, you should give me the same leverage. Because I believe you want to have a balanced conversation.
Sure.
Kanyo spoke for more than 5 minutes uninterrupted. Meanwhile, when Mo Ali speaks, you interrupt me consistently without allowing me to learn on my thoughts. I will come back to discuss some of the.
I'm sorry if you
That's it
feel.
right there. That's some of
I'm
it
sorry
right there.
about that, but I'd like to say to you more that I asked you a question, and when you were answering the question, I like to do a follow-up. But I allow
Yeah, but
you
you don't do follow-up on Kanyo. You interrupt me consistently, and you don't interrupt Kanyo. Also, only follow up on
for you.
So
He's
I'm
responding to your comments more.
No,
He's responding to what you have said.
when you respond,
If I have questions, follow-up questions for Kanyo, I will give him the follow-up questions. I'm sorry.
I understand that you will not have follow-up question for Kanyo, but you have follow-up question for me, and I will dispel some of the things that Kanyo said. In the first place, Kanyo Bagbala again. I'm not going to say he tells story. Kanyo lied blatantly. So clean the row. Kanyo that row almost completed before we left power. Number two, 700 plus kilometers of road. I will name all of the roads that you've constructed under your regime. It has not reached 250 kilometers. And I can hold the records and name all of them and tell you the number of kilometers that you've constructed. You've not passed 250 kilometers, even given the fact that you inherited an ongoing construction work of more than 300 kilometers of road. And you talk about from Sakepie, from Ganta to Yekepa, completed. Then you even start putting quota here, correct. Then you say completed. We are on that road every day. Can you? The people in Nima will be getting vexed for you for lying like that. That's not what you do. Now, let me come to this thing. Didi.
I'm listening more.
The Unity Party is in no hot water with nobody. Okay. As a matter of fact, I saw that story. George, what he named, Ambassador Joseph Boakai and others will be arrested. Arrested where? For what? We had an agreement with the McLean. We've began to pay their money. They say they can't accept it. They went to a judge. And I will provide this education for our public. Political parties in this country, except maybe the CDC is the exception, but by law, political parties are headed by chairpersons and not standard bearer. These parties are corporate entities. They can be sued and they can sue. So when you sue a political institution, if there is any rate, and when you carry them to court, that suing happens, it is the chairman and the secretary general who names usually appear there. So how that judge drag in somebody who is not chairman, Ambassador Boakai of the Unity Party, is yet to be seen. But I can tell you that matter, as the lawyers will say, and I would like Kanyo to teach me on that, is sub judice, because the judge who brought down that ruling has been taken up to the justice in chamber, and the justice in chamber has issued a prohibition on his ruling and cited the parties to a conference on Monday. And that's how far I can go. But I can tell you, we are in no hard water. I pray for the day that somebody will say they go arrest Ambassador Boakai for debt that the Unity Party owe. And let me also say,
okay, hold on. I'd like to ask you a question relative to that before you move on. Don't you owe these people any money? Don't you owe the Wardlaw and McLean any money? Because you say that
the party owes the McLean money.
Okay, so how much of that money?
I say the Unity Party owe them money, and they are going to court for settlement of their money. We agree payment terms. We made the first $60,000 available to them. Has been paid through the court.
That's how you were instructed to pay the money? Is that how the Unity Party was instructed to pay the money?
That is the plan that we made. They asked for payment plan, and we submitted a payment plan to them, and we pay them the money.
I have something here that is contrary, though. I have
What?
something here. I have something here that is contrary.
On this
That's
matter, Titi, I am on this matter. I am the authority. What you have is now authority.
so what comes out of the court is not authority. What you're saying is the authority.
I am
Is it-
authority on this matter because I have the information.
So what I have is what?
I don't know what you have. What do you have? What I do know is that we have a payment plan with the McLean, and we are going to sell
Let me
it.
read what I have. Let me read what I have, and maybe you can speak to that. In the case Unity Party by and through its chairman Luther Tappe, petitioner versus Wardlaw McLean Enterprises Incorporated, presented by its chairman, respondent for the hearing of the application for payment stipulation. That's what I have. And it
But
says,
I just told you. You asked me, does the Unity Party owe the McLean? I said yes.
yes.
We have gone
And
through
you just
payment
said that.
stipulation.
And you just said that
Go ahead.
you've gone through the payment, but what is in
No, I said we have gone through the payment plans, and we have made the first payment of $60,000 in accordance with the payment plan that we had.
more you have defaulted on the payment plans. That's why
No, we haven't.
Okay.
What-
so let me
what-
read
what-
this. So let me read this, and then you can conclude on that, and then we go further. The Unity Party is represented by its legal committee and presented in court are Councillor Ebenezer Zay Gibson and Councillor Bushiben Keita, and respectfully submit. While the respondent is represented by the law office of
What
Domba.
you reading all these small things?
Because what it says here, obviously we're reading for the public though. Okay, the court representations are duly noted. We may now proceed. The court, a petition for summary proceedings to recover possession of real property was filed before this court on the 23rd day of February 2021 against the Unity Party chairman and all those in authority. Subsequently, this court ruled on the 23rd day of November 2021, holding Unity Party liable and ordered the sheriff of court to evict Unity Party and possess the petitioner.
Wait, Titi, which year you reading there?
Hold on. Don't interrupt me. Let me just finish and then you will respond.
No, I want you to repeat the year. Year. I already said 2021.
The court ruled on the 23rd day of November 2021, holding Unity Party liable and ordered the sheriff of the court to evict Unity Party and possess the petitioner, and that Unity Party should pay an arrear rent of $180,000 and $20,000 for wrongfully withholding.
Can we discuss contemporary issues? You are talking about no. I didn't think for a minute that this was the essence of the discussion. You're talking 2021. I am telling you that
it's just
you're talking 2021. I am telling you that we have done a payment plan. Since that time, we have.
This document is saying to me
how does that contribute to the debate of national rescue within the context, talking about Unity Party headquarters? Then we're talking about serious debate. Then you bring in Unity Party headquarters.
Let me tell you how it's in my mind, because you said that, you were talking about all of the financial gains you made during your tenure in power.
I was hoping you would have brought that.
If you were not capable of paying your rent at that time, then it's a problem. And it comes to how you
Can I respond to that statement?
Read what I have here, then you can respond, because I'm saying to you.
You could still sit on your radio station and read what you have. I don't need to respond to it.
I want you to respond to that. Also, you don't want to respond.
You're talking about 2021 thing. I'm telling you 2023 issue. July, and you take me to 2021. When you finish reading there, I will say the real thing. Don't stop carrying me back to 2021. I already told you what to do. They said they must evade us. We left our headquarters long before 2021. We left our headquarters long before that ruling was made.
Agreed.
We left our headquarters.
And you defaulted on your payment.
Today, now I will tell you this. The Unity Party will feel extremely proud.
Okay.
Now, whenever people say the UP is broke, despite the fact that they were in power for 12 years, because it tells me that Unity Party was not stealing the country money for itself. The Unity Party was not stealing country money to build headquarters. The Unity Party was not taking a dime from the country to pay its rent. We depend on the dues and contributions of our members. Unlike the CDC, in the first month of taking power, they stole country money and bought their headquarters. They stole country money and built structures at their headquarters. We are not like that. And that is the reason why we will tell the Liberian people we will expose your government for the stealing that they are doing. So whenever you say you people not pay their rent, we feel exonerated that the Unity Party did not steal money for its own benefit. So keep saying that.
Okay, Mo, I'm going to leave you at that, and then I'm going to open up the lines. I was just trying to make a point because you tried to say that
but I think, TT, before we open the line, it's important for us to weigh in on some of the points that Mo made. So we don't just go to the line without, lifting some of the issues.
Talk about that. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. I think as we go to the lines, it is important for us to settle this road issue once and for all. We do not want to leave these studios with the 15 counties listening with a confusion about who has built more roads in less time. It's important for the people to know this. Who has provided more electricity in less time? It's important for the Liberian people to know, because roads and electricity are key components of national development which affect the well-being of the Liberian people. The record will show that when we took over, electricity access in Liberia was around 22 to 24%, and it can be proven. As we speak today, electricity access has gone to around 30%. That is an increment of around close to 7 to 10%, depending on what statistic you are using. Compare 12 years, 20%, and compare the increment we have done in 6 years. We have done more in terms of access to electricity and generation of electricity than the Unity Party did in 12 years and what we have done in 6 years. On roads, again, let us make this very clear. When Mo talks about 745 kilometers of roads, these are not roads that the Unity Party alone constructed. That 745 kilometers of road include road that existed prior to the coming to power of the Unity Party. So of that 745 kilometers, Mo has a percentage that the Unity Party actually constructed. But even if we say, let's just give everything that has been built since the beginning of the Republic to the Unity Party, which is 745 kilometers of road, if you compare that with what we have done, and I beg you, so that we look at some of the stats here very quickly. For us, we don't just put things out there that are meant to be propaganda. We like to revert to the statistics of what this government has done in 6 years that Mo and others failed to do over the last 12 years. So we want to just bring out some of these statistics for you to see. Like I said before, we have been able to pave at least 1,375, to increase paved roads to 1,375 kilometers. That's an increment of close to 500, depending on what statistic you are looking at. But even if you look at what are some of the areas that we've been able to do all of this? Yes.
Are you saying close to 500 and almost close to 700 in the 12 years of the Unity Party-led government?
But the 700 that Mo sites, it's not even roads that they actually constructed. That 745 kilometers is inclusive of roads that they inherited from the formation of the Liberian state.
So even when we take that, we say, okay, we give it to your move, you take everything. Even the road at Toba Bay, the road at Topmont Bay, all of those roads that were existing before you came to power, 745 kilometers, you won't claim it, we give it to you.
Well, is that
If
true?
you compare that against our sheer completion of
Kanye,
roads,
please hold on a little bit more. Is that true?
Yes.
Is the total percentage of roads we had in the country before Unity Party led government took power? Do you agree with
no,
Kanye? on that?
745 is what we inherited.
Hey, Kanye, they asked me question. Titi, on this show, I can name you every stretch of road, asphalt paved road that the UP constructed from finish to start. 745.75 kilometers. I can also name you all of the stretch of road that the CDC has constructed, 218.08 kilometers. And let me debunk something quickly. Let me come on something quickly.
How many kilometers of road did you inherit as the Unity Party led government?
Zero.
Zero.
Chemical war. All the roads we built were newly constructed asphalt paved road. And that one
So you didn't inherit any road?
Zero. With all the quota roads we laid out, there were quota roads that were non-existent. And now I will tell you, Kanye broke his own neck.
No, hold on. I just wanted to know. That was my question to you. And you
let
have.
me come to the electricity part very quickly.
I think that look, I think that you are falling for the trap that Mo has created. Mo has created
let me come
a
to
trap.
the electricity part very quickly.
More, hold on.
I don't want back on you on the electricity part.
I can go back and forth. The Liberian people will tell whether Liberia was electrified
it's
under
important for us to conclude on this point.
Let me conclude on the electricity thing. I want back on you on the electricity.
No, Titi.
No, hold on. Yes, Kanye, you were in speech, so I gave you 45 seconds. Yeah, I gave you 45 seconds.
I don't know how Mo somehow got the microphone.
I asked him a question.
Mo has constructed a trap that if you are not aware, you will fall into that trap. That trap is that, you are not allowing me to speak. We are the opposition. We are not getting time. So as a result,
be on ELDC tonight. Mo knows that we have given him time to speak. So when he says, I know he's not going to say that, but you have 45 seconds to conclude so that I can go to the line.
That is what he said. And you seem to be pandering to him.
This
show comprised two discussing. We must have equal time to deliberate on the issues, and we can present our issues. Our issues are clear.
Begin now.
Yes, that's how you interrogated Mo and gave him 5 minutes. We from the government must be given the opportunity to present our case. Because we are from the government, we should not be stigmatized because we are from the government. Because we are from the government, so we can get the opportunity to speak what has happened. It must be equally shared. There's a state broadcaster. Opposition can come, the government can come. We'll make our case. So equal time you give Mo, it's the same time you must give us.
You have your time.
So as I was saying,
all I see is talking over there.
Yeah, you see, he continues to interrupt me, Titi, and I don't interrupt Mo when he's speaking.
I gotta go to the case. Just let him learn it.
Means, and I wanted to leave on the note that the Liberian people will be clear as to electricity and role in our country. In our country today, we have doubled the construction of roads in 6 years. Roads that Mo Ali and others claim under the United Party for 745 kilometers, inclusive of roads that they met there, we have more than doubled in 6 years. And the statistics will prove us. On electricity, we have increased by 50%. 632,000 households now access to electricity that we provided over 6 years, in addition to what they left there. There is clearly no comparison. Now, lastly, there's one question about the payment of, normally I don't do this, but you raise the issue. And the only reason I'm commenting on this insolvency issue, the lack of ability to pay debt by a former ruling party, is because Mo insinuates that the reason why they can pay is because they're not steal. Now, that's a fallacy or reasoning. That I cannot pay my expenses because I'm not a thief. To proceed in that level of reasoning is to say that the only way I'm able to pay my expenses is if I steal. And if we assume that is the way to go, then there's a problem. There's something inherently wrong with the Unity Party. Either the only way they survive is by stealing, or they lack the ability to generate income in other areas. Now, I will draw the analogy this way. The ruling CDC was an opposition party for 12 unbroken years in this country. Over those 12 years of being in the opposition, there was never a case in point where the CDC lacked a national headquarters. There was never a case in point where the CDC was under the point of eviction from the national headquarters because of the inability to pay their rent. One of the cardinal responsibilities of a father, and I'm drawing a relationship here, is to provide accommodation for your children. A ruling party is a father. Similarly, if we go into analogy, because you are seeking to lead a country, you are the father of the nation.
Has not been able to do that.
A position. If you can't pay the rent for where you stay, how are you going to change and rescue the country if you can't even rescue yourself and find a place to lay your head?
I'm going to have the
Let me take a break. Let me take a break. I'm going to take a short break. And then when I come back, I will go to the lines, because if I go back and forth with you guys, the people who are listening have to make an input. So let me hold you guys.
That's
Please.
because you are not fair with the time, though.
I'm gonna take a break. Let's take a break. We'll be right back.
You so almost 10 minutes. They were asking you questions back and forth.
They say you not there, we stand, if I there, we fight. If we not celebrate, we do it for you. Voila, you forget it. You for Lova Country, you for Maryland. Voila, you for Rewa
hold on 1 second, please. Hold on, because you're from the Ministry of Public Works. I'm gonna find time to host you to come and give us.
The Unity Party in 12 years, they're not doing. The only thing they did to this country is to make sure that Liberian people went into poverty. But now,
okay, let me leave you there. I'm gonna find time for you to come on and discuss that one.
People to go and where we lie, go and mock with lies on the radio, and spill all lies into the ears of the Liberian people.
Okay, let's take other callers. Thank you so much, Jeff, for weighing in. Hello.
Good evening.
Good evening.
To those in studio. This is Bob Carter, and I call for SD Kubaru.
Let's hear you, Bob.
So to start with, I can name few of the rules that were done by the Unity Party just as the caller I just left online, and I hope you give me similar opinion and a chance. The Monrovia alone, the Unity Party, they call way rule, the Baton rule, Central Monrovia, the same community, Tinko, Nizo, West Point, Locaton to Douala, Police Academy, GSA rule, SKD Boulevard, Aratan, AB Toba Road, Anazio Junction to D0, Cartwheel, Marshall, and so many other rules to just the own Councilor Bala who feels that where more Ali talks about major highways, he's not concerned about roads zones, in Monrovia and other community.
Okay. Thank you so much.
And let me close on this.
Let me take this caller. I'm gonna hold you there, sorry. Hello.
Yeah, Didi, how you doing, Mama?
You're alive.
Yeah, this is Steve Armstrong Babu of District 5, where my brother Mo Adi lives. Didi is saying that there was no rule exist in Liberia. So meaning there was no country exist. But equally so, he relied on the issue of if I would not talk about the water rule, but I would just talk about the soul cleaning rule, because at that time I was living in Red Bean. Can you Barbara around the CDC, let's say the military office up when you go into Satani or the whole LBS building there? That rule he's talking about, it was not exist. There was nothing that rule there. Just few days ago they started that rule, and today the rule exists. They only had a rule from Pakopin Junction to Dubo Road Junction, at least.
Okay.
Two LGC community, those who should not last. But thank God that we had good intellectual Canio that debunking everything he's saying. Thank you very much. Let me get out of the time.
Let's hear you. Hello.
Yeah, Jido. Good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, I'm asking Kurak Better, someone intellectual to start, the market coalition for democratic change.
Okay.
Well, I want to congratulate Canio for the explanation and what the clarity he gave to the Liberian people based on factual information that was presented. It is very different with you. The entire thing that has to do with rescue mission in this country is with deception. And our man in studio on the United Party, they are proving that to us tonight. Give me a powerful story. Let me tell the issue of electricity. We all were here. We serve our meter under the United Party law government, and we never received those meters. You pay for a service, I would never want to you. When you talk about electricity, they give us almost the entire Monrovia. It's not true. So the entire argument, lies, deception, and to confuse our people, but our people are going to know the truth. I just want to thank you again for this program. Thank you very much.
Hello.
Good evening, Titi. Good evening to Moali. Hello?
You're alive, sir.
Thank you. My name is Cooper Pathway, and I follow you this evening from District 11. I listen to Canio shouting that he provided sensitive information to the public. Well, how can you tell us that you have to tell the radio that you cannot change the reality, right? One of the callers just gave rule in Central Monrovia. Canio live in Monrovia. He aware that when you never took over this country to have this, the entire Central Monrovia was there's no rule. But the United government built the rule, so he blinded his eyes to data information. He tried to use us to deceive the public, but the fact is, in a very serious intellectual discourse, it kind of should not be on EFPC because we have a team that can.
Hello. Move away from the radio, please.
Yeah, good evening, Titi.
Good evening.
Thank you. Paul Susan, a call from Proclamation.
Let's hear you, sir.
Thank you. You see, more Aridan, the tendencies, the lies that the last 2020 that brought Darrell Dillon, then other people in power, the tendency that they say lie, they will continue. And they can hold. We talk about the road from Maryland to Milwaukee. There was no road that reached Milwaukee. The road construction is done from Cleveland to Carrollton. To Carrollton, the same Maryland. You know, be closer to Milwaukee that you're talking about. So that the first area is lie. You see, those people, they talk about, also the other area you talk about where they said there was no road that was in the Republic of Labrador at all. They said when your term was 0%, we are not true. So the past president had left in power before anything. So you want to tell me that no constructed road, the total road that the past president constructed was 700 plus kilometers, including any region.
Okay.
It was 700 plus. So 700 plus plus John, we have 600 plus kilometers. These are total road kilometers of 1,372 kilometers.
Oh,
so
sir,
when you compare the past administration from area, the made all the president that left power.
Thank you.
And I can't lie to us here.
Thank you. I will take 3 more callers and then we wrap it up and go back to our guests. Hello.
Hello, thank you ever so much. I'm Johansson T. Boga Jr. and I'm calling from a domicile in Port Nine. Thank you ever so much. You see, brother Canio, yesterday on your broadcast radio station, Freedom FM. If you have one of the children,
the line is very, very bad. You're coming in broken. You're coming in broken. Let's take this one and we take.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
Yeah, good evening.
Yes.
Good evening.
Mm-hmm.
This is Slogan Maxwell Mo Manuel. I'm a member of the Blanca think tank. I'm calling from District 6, Montreal County.
Okay.
So let me tell you, thank you for providing a platform where the ruling establishment can be dragged by a member of the opposition, Mo Ali, in such a way. This is a very good thing. The ERDC station is something that we should all provide opportunity for every Liberian to speak out. I'm disappointed in Kanyo Barbara. Kanyo, as an individual, has been indicted, has been.
When you call here, you speak to the issues, please.
Yeah. This is William Bokia calling from Ocean President. Well, my question has to do with Honorable Mo Ali. Because when I was in the 7th grade in Irish, or 8th grade, 96, 97, I was told by my instructor that, from Painsbury to Ganta, it was 75 kilometers. So how can he reconcile with those rules that were during the previous administrators?
Okay, thank you. Let me take my final caller. Hello. Good evening.
Thank you so very much. This is Pastor Davis, now from District 6. Let me say thanks to the landed councillor. Whenever Councillor Bala speaks, you see the reflection in his voice. And we're very honest. You see, for us to even stand down the roads being built by the Unity Party government and be very accurate with the figure, it speaks volumes and sincerity to our country. Look, I want to say to Mr. Kanyo, I think the decision to establish the Weir Intellectual Movement wasn't a mistake. Our people in this country have a lot to deserve to be used by lies. Every time Mo and the rest of the guys from the opposition take the radio, these are fallacy. Somebody come and say the government has not done anything. But you just admitted to us there that the government has been able to build a little over 200 roads. So you just said yesterday that we have not done anything. So where can we build the 200 roads? These are things that Kanu and the rest of others need to have our people informed on a daily basis. You have not even spoken about education. You have not even spoken about health. I mean, you have not also been able to speak about infrastructure in terms of those offices that present we have been able to build across the country. You are aware of Maritime, for example. You are aware of the National Port Authority, for example. You are aware of the new NSA building, for example. You are aware of LPRC office that the president has built, for example. You are aware of Bapolu Hospital, the Embro Hospital in Bapolu. You are aware. I mean, these are things that we have done in the space of 5 years. Yes, and still more, and the rest of them will come and say the government has not done anything. It's been fair and honest.
All
I mean,
right,
we
Pascal.
can't condone that in our country. So I want to say thanks to Kanu, and let's continue this. Allow the opposition to come and let them expose themselves, and so that Brent people can judge them. Thank you so much for the privilege this evening.
Thank you, Pascal, for calling in this evening also. Now we're going to go back to our guests on the show. You listen to the callers. I know you're going to respond. I'm going to give you, the two of you, I'm going to give you 2 minutes each to respond. And in your closing comments, I think it will be best for you, Mr. Moali, to tell the Liberian people why you think what your government, if it should take state power tomorrow, what you will do, your roadmap for Liberia, and then Kanyo will close up telling us why the Liberian people should retain the CDC-led government. So you have 2 minutes each to do that. I'll start with you, Mr. Moali.
So firstly, it would have been very balanced since I opened the show for me to close. But I guess you want to give Kanye the leverage. But anyway, I will start off from I wasn't we weren't getting the callers from the beginning. I think I only heard the last part of my friend Jefferson. And I know whenever you see ministers coming when one of their own is in studio and they are calling to help, it means that that person has flunked. And I can see why they
So
so
I want to do because you'll be crying here again. You say then get you
I
time.
can see why the minister will call to help Kanye on the road issues. And I will maintain we have constructed 745.75 kilometers of road, and we inherited no ongoing road projects as the CDC. The CDC inherited more than 200 kilometers of ongoing road projects. They have been able to complete only 218.08 kilometers. Now, Kanye says something very profound about electricity. Now, the whole world knows, not only Liberia, that when we inherited this country, there was zero grade of electricity, there was zero power. And you know, Kanye said they inherited 22%. That could tell you that that was 11% per 10. Given the fact that we did not inherit anything, and we did that marvelous they were, and Kanye said they have carried up to 30%. In the face of the fact that they inherited everything relating to electricity, and they only had to do transmission and distribution, and they can only add up 8% in 6 years, tells you the massive failure that has happened. Now, what? And then we talk about paying our rent. And let me say this, Kanye, payment of rent, payment of school fees, of health bills, and everything are performance of the economy. In our time, most of your people, including the president, they were employed. They had jobs in government. They could afford. Samuel Tuer making more than $10,000. Nathaniel McGill, assistant minister. All of these people, Samuel Wulu, or Eugene Nambe, they were all in the government. They all had jobs. They could afford. You have not provided jobs. This government told us they were going to lift 1 million Liberians out of poverty in 5 years. What they have done, they have plunged over 500,000 Liberians into poverty. Why we should be elected? We see the streets littered with drugs everywhere. This government has introduced push that is purely young people. This government, even after the discovery of $100 million worth of drugs through the help of intelligence from the US, they allowed the people to go because they bribed them. They wanted campaign money. They purchased over 100 pickups.
Hold on, more. Let me take you back a little bit, and I will add your time there. You said the government has introduced Kush. How did they do that? How did the government do that?
So when you have a DEA and you cannot empower the DEA, there is no logistics for DEA. There's no logistics for police. Police people, your Minister of Finance was on the radio. He said police people receive even uniform only 2 times over the period of 6 years. And then you have drugs coming in the country. People bringing more than $100 million worth of drug, kush, cocaine, and other things. And you cannot even
pass to bring the drugs. Where did they pass to bring the drugs?
Freeport, airport, where they discovered the $100 million drugs from.
Is that where the kush is passing at the Freeport? And I'm asking you this question because you are the immediate past government.
All of the border. Yes, I'm saying yes.
So how did you leave the border?
Very protected. The streets were not littered with drugs all over the place. As a matter of fact, a special assistant to the president will go and organize a tournament on Galley Street for ghettos. It tells you how they are preying and making lucrative the drug market. Okay. Those are some of the reasons why the Unity Party, based on the records, we were able to increase the country budget from 80 million to 580 to almost 600 million. We were able to increase civil servant salary from mere $15 to at least $150. This government came in, drastically slashed salaries. We want to give people life. We want to give dignity.
How are you going to do that?
Great. First, the corruption that they introduced. When the president in the first 3 months was able to demolish his dilapidated 9th Street residence and build a bulletproof mansion, when the president in the first 3 months was able to construct 49 housing unit condominium without having anything, when Nathaniel McGill was able to buy a house for more than $300,000.
Question. I'll ask you a question. You say you want to give the Liberian people a good life. How are you going to do that? How is the Unity Party-led government going to do that?
Number one, we will audit this government. We will take back all of the stolen properties. We will increase the economy by creating jobs, by attracting investors. This government, over the period of 5 years, has not been able to attract a single investor. We will reintroduce the tourism sector of this country. We will improve it to the extent you have Cape Mount, you have the Sapo National Park, and all of those places.
What did you do with that? Yes, the Sapo National Park, Cape Mount. What did you do with it in 12 years? How did you leave it? And how disappointed are you now of it? You had 12 years. What did you do with the Sapo National Park?
When you inherit a country that was devastated, decimated by 14 years of civil conflict, we have several priorities, and you could not have done everything at the same time. We talk about electricity, we talk about healthcare, we talk about education, we talk about roads, we talk about water. You first needed the basic necessities to be restored.
And that's what you provided, right? That's what you provided in 12 years.
In 12 years, we were able to restore the basic necessities of life so that the Liberian people could live again. We were able to increase life expectancy from 50 to 62. We were able to clear debt burden. And you know, can you talk about debt? I will touch on that a little bit. We left a debt burden of 800 million. They have increased it to 2.1 billion. 2.1 billion. What they did with all that money they took, I don't know. Can they then enrich themselves? And so, TT, not to waste your time, the Unity Party will build on its record to improve the economy, to improve the health sector, the education sector. We will open up the tourism sector so that we can attract more visitors that will bring in more money into this country. We will create jobs. The CDC has not been able to create one job in this country because they do not have data.
They have
Thank you.
not been able to create one job.
One job.
Okay, good. Okay, thank you, Amo. Let me come to you now. And Mo, I think you will agree with me that you had more than 5 minutes to lend your thoughts. And so let's go back to Mr. Bagbala or Councillor Bagbala. You will tell us, you listen to the callers and then you will give us your feedback. And then I want you to tell us why the Liberian people you think should retain President Weah.
Thank you very much, TT. I won't spend too much time on the callers because if I did a numerical analysis of the issues presented in the calls, you will find that the callers agree with us that this whole free spree that Ali and others have been on for the last few years of telling lies to the Liberian people, of saying that we have achieved nothing, but comes on air and agrees with me that we have achieved so much in less time than they have, clearly points to the fact that President Weah is going to be re-elected overwhelmingly. I just like to emphasize this point, and I do this because I want to leave the show on the note that there is no equivocation about the numbers regarding electricity and regarding the construction. It is no conflict. There is no dilemma. There is no confusion in regards to the fact that where we are 6 years later is by far better than where we were 6 years before. There is no confusion that where we met this country in terms of electricity dispersion is by far better today than what it was 6 years ago. It is no question that where we are in terms of road construction in 6 years is by far better than where we were before. Now, two things to inject before I go to the clear point of why we are going to re-elect President Weah for all of the development that he has done, because it is simply uncountable. What I'm going to do is not even speeching. I'm just going to be making, a listing some of the groundbreaking first things that have occurred here. When Mo talks about electricity, he asks as if that Liberia did not have electricity prior to the coming to power of the ruling Unity Party. That is patently wrong. If you look at the statistics, we have a measure of electricity. At least 5% of the population still have access to electricity. So when we speak in terms of 20% electricity when they left power, it doesn't mean you created 20%. You met 5% and you added in 12 years. What we've done in 6 years is to double what you did in 12 years. Same thing with road construction. He talks about 745 kilometers of road as if they built all of those roads. Again, that is a fallacy. That is a lie. They met a portion, at least 10% or 20% of the roads that were already constructed, and they improved upon that. We doubled from 745 to 1,375 kilometers of road in only 6 years. So as we leave this show, there can be no question as to electricity, as to road, in terms of who has done better in less time regarding the issue of governance, electricity, and road. Now, why do we elect President Weah? When Mo talks about the fact that we gave you 2 terms to demonstrate what you will do for the Liberian people. And this is how you left our country. You left the central bank broke without money in the central bank, and that is evidenced by reports that we have. You left with debt that you could not service, which we are now servicing. You left with an economy that was in depression at 3%. We are now at 5%. That is the fact. What have we done in addition to stabilizing the economy and to making this country come on par again? Let's just look at infrastructure. I don't want to talk about the invisible pack. We all know it is there. You can see it. You can feel it. It was never there before. I don't want to talk about the construction of the Tusafi. You can see it. You can feel it. It was never there before. I don't want to talk about the Emirates Hospital in Bapolu County. Morning facility that caters to health needs way in Bapolu never existed. You can see it, you can feel it. I don't want to talk about the Bedia Health Center in Riverside, 150-bed hospital constructed by this government. You will see it and you will feel it. I don't want to talk about the groundbreaking we did about another 150 bed in Buchanan. You will see it, you will feel it. I don't want to talk about the 14 military hospital right on the RIA highway. You see it and you feel it. In addition to those things, we have provided over 30 million in loans to small business holders over the last 6 years. When we're talking about ProPro, that is the definition
or Popo. In education, what have we done? We have put more than 1,100 teachers on the payroll. People that Mo Ali and others could not bring to earn income. In counties where people are broke and people are poor, we brought them onto the payroll. We have digitized the system at the University of Liberia. We have made tertiary education to be free. We have paid waxy fees for students all across this country. We have introduced school feeding in the amount of 20 million all across. Before 12 years, they did not know that for students to go to school, they can't go there hungry. We reintroduced school feeding on our own dime in this country. And people are asking, why should we be re-elected? Let's talk about gender development. Which president has demonstrated more in terms of commitment to women? Only the feminist in chief. Look in government today. Titi, you are an example of President Weah Largesse and his belief in that women can lead. Estelle is an example. The Ministry of Gender is an example. The Supreme Court, the whole branch of government is an example. The Ministry of Public Works, led by my sister Ruth, is an example. The National Oil Company is an example. And so in terms of gender, we have done so much. More than that, we have provided true support from the World Bank close to 40 go to vulnerable households, especially single households that are led by women. What more should this president do in order to merit a second term? All of these, as I'm listing them, did not happen before in this country. Let's talk about youth empowerment. If you look across government today, a number of firsts, the DEA that we talk about, headed by a young person, never happened before. We talk about empowering young people. National lotteries, headed by another young man, never happened before. We talk about the National Investment Commission, headed by another young person, never happened before in this country. So infrastructure-wise, look at the creation of the nail factory that's happening in Margibi County, the plastic factory that's also happening in Margibi County, and all of the other industries that we're talking about. If we look at the sheer number of roads that we have built, when we talk about job creation, who do you think are building these roads? Yes, we have supervisors that come with technical assistance, but these are Liberians that are building these roads, and they are earning income under the leadership of President George Manning Weah. And the list is just less. If I were to even start to enumerate them, there won't be time for us to leave from here.
Okay, so I think we have to leave it at that because we have.
So when Mo Ali and others come to this conversation, so let me conclude on this note, because I know Mo Ali always trapping you into this thing that we are opposition, so give more time, and therefore you assume the position that let him talk more because they are from the opposition. But the truth must be told. As I close, we must say this, that in these elections, and we can assure Mo Ali and others, in these elections, lies will not fly. Misinformation will not fly. Disinformation will not fly. Half-truths will not fly. Mistruths will not fly. We will communicate the gains of this government. And if we put the CV of the ruling unity, the SY ruling unity party, and Joseph Boyka, who doesn't even have a CV, at least Ellie had a CV. All of the things we'll talk about are accomplishment on Ellie. Ambassador Boyka was parked in a garage. They had nothing to do with it, so there's no CV. So if we put that against His Excellency Dr. George Manning Weah, who has done the usual, achieved the unachievable in 6 years, there's no competition. And the Liberian people will be testimony of October will come here. Thank you so much, Titi.
Great. So I'd like to, thank the both of you this evening for accepting our invite to sit on open conversation this evening. Mo Ali, thank you so much.
Thank you, Titi. And I agree with Kanyo that lies will not fly.
I thank you also, Mo, that we will not allow you to continue to lie. It won't happen.
Thank you.
Going forward, it won't happen.
Okay, so this is Open Conversation, and that's how we conclude this edition of Open Conversation tonight on ELBC Radio and online. To all of you who are viewing us or who followed us online this evening, I'd like to thank you for joining in on the program. Tomorrow night, we will have Senator Edwin Bevin Snow on the platform. And so we wish that you also follow to talk about national issues in our country. And hopefully my co-host will join me tomorrow on the show. Thank you so much. And thanks to all of my producers for making this edition a success. Have a pleasant evening.
north to the south, let's come together. I go. They say you not there, we stand, but we